Hi, whoa, look at that. Your vote, your choice. Yep, it's coming that time when you're going to absolutely vote on a number of things, not only for people who will govern you, but also measures that you will expect them to carry out, measures and propositions and the like. So we're saying start reading about this stuff and make an informed decision. My wife and I, we're going over each one of these things. Every day we talk about them and we decide, well, what do you think? Well, I don't like that. Well, let's hope we. At any rate, this is an interesting guide, and we have a number of interesting guides, and I'm sure you received in the mail a guide for all of the state measures. But with me in the studio is Mr. Spencer, who is with the Transportation. That's right, and it's for Sacramento. And there's a measure on the ballot. Yes, a local ballot that will help us support, right?
Correct.
What am I supposed to open this up? Oh, and as I was saying, this is a voter's guide, and with me in the studio is Spencer
Jeffries.
Did I get it right? Cool.
Yes.
You are with Sacramento Transportation, which is an organization that helps use funds to better transportation and to better the infrastructure that allows transportation to happen. Roads,
Right.
rails,
Yes.
sidewalks. It's an
And
amazing,
bicycles.
and we wonder, when we drive down the road, what happens? Behind my house, Spencer, is an alley. Now that alley, it was all concrete when I moved there. And it's had some troubles, and the city or the county have come to dig holes. And they fill the holes at the top with tar. Well, the tar now has gone down about maybe in one area 2 inches. That's a clear and present danger to someone walking in the evening, because guess what? The alley's not lighted.
No, I imagine not.
So, and part of what you do is to oversee all this and to help the city and the county make sure it has a safe and sane way to travel, right?
We provide funding for the cities and the county to do infrastructure projects, whether it be repair or to actually do capital expansion, because we have to meet the needs of the growing population.
Right, and certainly this area is growing.
It is.
No doubt. So tell me a project that you might be working on.
Well, the current one, it's the big one, is the I-80 over the top. A lot of the expansion going on, building new lanes to relieve the congestion in that area, provide some high occupancy vehicle lanes for the commuters during peak hour. And it's a Caltrans project.
Yes.
But in order to attract the state and the federal dollars that go into that project, it is a federal facility, but you need a local match. And if we didn't have current funding, such as we do in Measure A, which is what's paying for that, we wouldn't have been able to do that project.
I see.
But as an example, for every $1 that was invested from local funds, we got $150 in matching between state and federal sources.
I see. Okay, so that's what you do. You put money together from the local level, the federal level, and you provide money to make some of these great things, important things, happen.
Correct.
So what's on the ballot? That's because I started out with this because we talked about what's on the ballot, which would help you do your work.
Well, it's called Measure B. It's a follow-on to Measure A. It really is a whole different set of plans. We have what's published, it's called a Transportation Expenditure Plan. It's published in the ballot, so you actually get the shopping list, as it is in a way to say it. You know what you're getting for your tax dollar. It lists all of the projects that are outlined to be paid
very
for.
good. Yeah.
And that way it's really transparent to the taxpayer. The idea, though, is that we keep falling behind further and further in maintaining and upgrading our roads simply because there's not enough revenues coming in. The gas tax hasn't been raised in many, many years by either the feds or the state.
I see.
And that's the main source of revenues for transportation. So what has happened is a lot of counties in California, 20, we're one of those 20 that we call self-help counties that provide local transportation funds to be able to do these projects, to make sure that we're not falling behind. And even with that, you know, there's so many roads and so many different pieces that we're just managing to keep up, which is why Measure B is now
So
on the
the
ballot.
freeway stops at the county line and there's a dirt road?
Not the freeway, but
Not here, though.
but there are actually instances like that. You know, we have to do more coordination with our neighboring partners. I'll give you an example. Actually, Placer County is chasing their first time to have a self-help county. And so we will coordinate projects so that we don't run into the dirt road at the county line.
Yeah. So it's very, very interesting. And so the Measure A and B are associated, right?
They're actually separate. They have their own list of transportation expenditure plans that are attached.
I see.
So when Measure A was passed in 1988, it had a list of projects that they wanted to complete. And a lot of that was RT. You see the RT rails that went out to
Absolutely.
Folsom, the overpasses that go over the arterials so that there's not delay there. Those were all paid for Measure A dollars. And then new Measure A, which was authorized in 2004 by the voters, they passed it again to extend it. It started in 2009 and it's paying for a lot of the current projects that you see. For instance, the bicycle bridge over Watt Avenue. You know, it's got a tunnel and a bridge, et cetera, to allow access for the people who are walking and bicycling. And they're no longer separated from the north side and across the river.
And in that area of town, there are many people who walk and bike. That's for
There
sure.
are.
No doubt.
So yeah, that's what we try to do. We look at congestion mitigation, air quality. We're trying to expand the system to meet the needs, the demand that's out there, but we're also trying to maintain it, which is why we're trying to focus on what we call a Fix It First program in Measure B. 75% of the funds collected in the first 5 years are going to be dedicated to just maintaining, filling potholes, repairing our bridges, overpaying pavement of the streets that are deteriorating.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, in many, many places,
Yes.
the streets are deteriorating. So this is really interesting because it's like most people think that, well, okay, you tax us and you should use that money for, you know best. But you now have a list, which is almost like you're making the voter in control of the development projects. You have them listed, and that's kind of almost too democratic for.
Well, you know, we've seen where the state has siphoned off money to backfill a general fund when there was a shortfall.
Yes.
The nice thing about local control is it's passed by ordinance. Those funds are locked in. They cannot be siphoned off for any other purpose. It's dedicated to transportation projects, the ones that are listed, and we work on what are the highest needs at the time. Now that list, there's still the processes. It's not the fully approved, you know, we're going full ahead.
Yes.
It still has to go through the normal planning, public processes in order to be done. But it allows us to put that funding in place to, again, as I mentioned earlier, attract those state and federal dollars when they do come available. One of the problems we've seen is the state hasn't passed a transportation bill in over 3 years. The feds did last year, and that was 10 years since they passed the last transportation bill. So when you get these little dribs and drabs of money, they're not enough to attack your problem. We keep falling further and further behind. But when they do pass those bills, we have to compete for them against all the other cities and counties across America for the federal dollars and across California for the state dollars. Having that local transportation fund in place and that list of projects that you know are going to get done allows them to say, here you go.
So your job also must be coordinated with other agencies, lots of agencies, to come up with a plan that is workable for them as well as you. It must be a hard road. I mean, a hard road.
It is a hard road. You know, you have a lot of different interests. We have every city in the county. You have Rancho Cordova, Elk Grove, Citrus Heights, et cetera. You do have the county itself, unincorporated. You have the rural interests all the way down in Wilton and Ileton. And so all of the city public works directors came together and said, this is what we need to accomplish. And that's how we developed that plan.
Wow. So you worked for the federal government before, and then you came to Sacramento. You worked actually Sacramento early and then went to the federal government.
Correct.
Kind of like it gave you a kind of a catbird seat to look at other counties and transportation issues across the United States. How would you rank us here in Sacramento?
In Sacramento, we're actually probably, I would say, at a D.
A D?
Yes. Because if you look at pavement condition,
yes,
and we have an actual index, 0 to 100, just like a scoring on a test. We want to achieve a 70% pavement condition index, or PCI. We're actually at around 58.
I see.
And so what we need to do is invest in that infrastructure, bring that up. Now, why is it that we're focused on the roads? Is because everybody uses the roads, even transit. When you look at the majority of transit service is motor bus. They are suffering too from maintenance issues. When they hit a pothole, they lose alignment, they lose tires, bearings wear out. So if we're able to reduce the cost of maintenance, they can transfer the money into more operations, meet the needs of more people. 30% of the funds are dedicated to transit, 70% to roads and transit. So the diversity of meeting the needs of all the people in the county, that's the key. You're never going to satisfy one particular group 100%. But we looked at what is it that everybody needs, and that's why we came up with these particular splits.
Thank you. We have about 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you had to say something about Measure A and B to folks, what would you say?
Well, actually, I'm not here to advocate for anything. Okay. I'm here to just talk about the facts. Yeah. I'm a transportation professional. I've been in this industry 40 years.
Wow.
And so there is a definite need. It is a vital piece of our livelihood. We have to get to work, get to school. We need to fix our transportation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. I wish you well. I wish our roads well.
Thank you very much.
All right. We've got to take a short pause right now, and we'll be back with LiveWire right after this. Thanks for watching Access Sacramento.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women, 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Calls me googly eyes.
You know you're beautiful, right? You know that?
Even you are beautiful. I got bullied for wearing glasses. Share if you're against bullying.
We put it out there, just took off. 3 million people have shared this post. Don't let bullies get you down. I stand with you. Our whole family's wearing glasses. I wear glasses and I'm proud.
I even have the army on my team.
All the kind comments brought my child joy. I don't feel thank you is enough.
Next.
And we're back, and we're talking about something as important as streets, and maybe more important in a way for our future. It's literacy and literacy in the school. And there's an organization that is, actually it's made up of a number of organizations, and they are putting on a fundraiser called Run for Literacy. Is that correct, everyone?
Walk for literacy.
No, run!
The walk is family friendly.
Walk for talking. So April Butcher, you are with the Sacramento Library Foundation, or
Yeah.
the county, is it a county-wide organization?
We're a nonprofit and we support the Sacramento Public Library, which is county-wide.
Right.
Right,
And of course, libraries and literacy go together because they
just
do.
like that.
That's right. And Nick Howard, you are with the,
I'm with Teach for America Capital Valley. We have teachers in Sacramento, Stockton, and in the rest of the Central Valley, down near Fresno and Bakersfield.
you're fighting for our brains, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Katie, I know what you do, and you know your organization. It really kind of works into actually in the schools to do wonderful things.
We do creative writing workshops, and then all those workshops end in publication so that kids get to be transformed into published authors.
There's one.
Yeah, there's one of our books
There it
written
is,
by
there it
homeless youth that are in elementary school.
This is for homeless youths that are in elementary school. This is a book
Yes.
created by them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we really believe that storytelling is an act of literacy, and that the more stories that youth feel empowered to share and to listen to, the more literate they'll be and become great citizens.
So, whose idea was to kind of you joined together? Are there any other organizations that are part of this, or are you the triumvirate for the Walk for Literacy?
Yeah, I mean, it started 3 years ago. This will be our third annual walk. And originally it was April and I sat down, kind of brainstormed an idea. It took a little bit to get off the ground. Katie jumped in with us, and we just thought, you know what? We got to put some resources behind this effort, and that's what the walk is really, really about.
Right. Well, Katie certainly is. She runs 916 Inc. and a number of other literary support programs. She's a gregarious leader in our community. I know this.
Oh, thanks.
And so, how does the Walk for Literacy work? When can I go? How can I find out about? That's a good one. How can I find out about it?
So the Walk for Literacy is this Saturday. We meet at McClatchy Park, which is in Oak Park at 33rd Street and 5th Avenue. And we'll take off at 9 a.m. sharp. We'll walk 4 miles through Poverty Hill, Midtown, across the Capitol, and to Cesar Chavez Park.
Okay, I'll do this. And it's a fundraiser, right?
It is.
And what am I raising funds for, other than the word literacy?
Well, what we do is we pool all the excess funds and we
Yeah.
put into a grant process, and then that process determines, based on the amount of money, who will get grants, and it's for groups who are addressing grade level reading, which is how this came about. Boom.
Got it. Okay, so it's this kind of thing that it supports. I mean, homeless kids seeing their, for a mom who's homeless with their kids, seeing Super Daniel and my son's writing in a book must be a kind of a game changer, life changer thing, right? Would you
Yeah,
think?
it's life-changing for them, right? I mean, we teach them that stories matter, that books matter, that they can be in a book, they can tell their story, and sort of just inspire them to keep writing and to keep reading. And so, right, for homeless youth, like what a wonderful opportunity to give them a gift that they get multiple copies of the book, so they could give one to mom, they can give one to a friend or a teacher. Stuff like
Really
that.
good.
Last year we had some of Katie's students come up to the registration table and say, listen, I'm an author, where do I get my t-shirt? And I thought, that's the stuff right there that 916 Inc. is really
I'm
doing
an
well.
author. Where do I get my T-shirt?
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, April, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think year one we give out $10,000 worth of grants, and in year
Yep.
two, $15,000 worth of grants.
Yep,
And
we did.
we're looking to grow that again this year for local literacy programs like 916 Inc. or others.
So, the pitch here is, if you're watching this show and you're interested in supporting literary programs throughout our area, and there's a real reason for it, and the reason is
Nearly 2 out of 3 kids are not at grade level reading in the 3rd grade. And that is a very pivotal time because kids learn to read up until then, but after that, they're reading to learn. And so they're just falling backwards systematically more and more. So a kid reading at grade level reading is incredibly important for their own education.
And third grade reading is critical too, because what the data shows over time is that only 1 in 4 kids that are behind at the end of third grade are ever going to catch up. So it's really, really hard to get caught up if you don't hit that third grade benchmark. So it's a really, really key lever in a kid's education.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
And we're
against the-
struggling now, and we're not doing very well, right?
No. No, go ahead and talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. I mean, April referenced it already, but you
Yeah.
know, it's about 1 in 3 kids in Sacramento County are on grade level by the end of third grade currently. And so, you know, we can do better. We need to do better. Education is opportunity. Reading is freedom.
Yeah.
And so we've got to get kids doing better earlier.
Reading is informed voters too, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, you were
Right.
talking about democracy at the top of the show.
And reading that pamphlet. What about the people who can't read that pamphlet?
I don't know. That's another thing. If they can't read this this voter pamphlet, we're in trouble.
Right.
This is actually what they might call a dumbed down pamphlet from the state pamphlet. If you look at it, you know, you really need to be able to read.
You do.
Absolutely.
What were those slides? You brought some slides. Let's have a look at those. I'm not sure what they are. Maybe they're just photographs of the event
Oh,
from
maybe.
last year. Okay, that's a
Maybe.
possibility.
Yeah.
Well, let's do some visual literacy here. Okay, yes, it is. That's what that is. Okay, up there.
Oh, yeah, folks are out there posing with the walking person in front of the office when they're picking up their T-shirts. That's Tracy Stigler,
Okay.
man
All
about
right.
town.
Okay, switch the slide. Let's see. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's last year at the start of the walk, the bright lime green shirts there are a bunch of our volunteers from last year. We live off of our volunteers. We thank them and are so grateful for them. There's going to be a whole new troop of volunteers
Yeah.
out there this year and a lot of returners as well. So that's at the very start of the walk last year.
I love it. It's good. How about another slide? Blink. Oh, there's a slide
There
of
we
us.
are.
Yeah, and one of the really cool things that happens at the end of the Walk for Literacy is that you go on this walk and, you know, it's really family friendly. We hand out free costumes at the beginning of the walk to kids. This year we're going to do a bunch of superhero capes and they can decorate them. And then it ends at a literacy fair at Cesar Chavez Park with the band unsupervised playing. So every single booth has hands-on literacy activities for kids and their families. So it's not only just about walking and raising awareness and coming out and, you know, a big team of support, but also
Yes.
at the end, kids can get free books. They can engage in literacy activities. Parents can learn more. They can figure out how to get connected to programs.
Yeah.
Figure out how to get connected to programs. I
Right.
think that's a very underline that.
Right. How do I get my kid in
Circle
reading
it.
partners?
Wait, you're wrecking the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, really, because I think a lot of parents know that their child is not coming up to that third grade level, and they feel helpless, and even though there are organizations that have programs they don't know, or they want you to come in and take their kid out and fix that.
I think parents are thinking schools are going to do the job, and schools haven't been able to do the job right now. So it's going to take schools and nonprofits and parents and philanthropists to jump on into this effort and really work together.
Yeah, and I think it has been in the past, you know, where parents actually did work with their own children, or had people work with their children separate from the school to make sure that their kids were as competitive, or quote unquote more competitive than other kids. You know, I'm right in the middle of Thomas Wolfe's Look Homeward Angel, and it's about a boy who is kind of a part of a family of dysfunctional family. But there's someone in the family who sees the genius of the boy to learn and the will to learn, and pushes that boy in the right direction, and he ends up being extremely literate and giving and kind and a real asset to his community, which is really interesting because other parts of his family, they don't make it. So that adds the drama of the book, you know,
Right.
major book in American literature.
Yeah, and I think literacy is a component in making it, so to speak. Whatever each child's own definition of making it is, It's not going to happen without literacy as a starter. We know that revolutionizes and changes educational outcomes and futures and earning power and all these other things. So
Absolutely,
it's a
earning
building block.
power. And the interesting thing about earning power is a lot of people who talk about literacy in the United States and and education and making it through the educational process show comparisons with Nordic countries, like Sweden, and the literacy levels of people who live there. And they're right that other countries, they're smaller of course, but they do have a drive to make sure that their children actually get educated.
Yeah.
And I think we do here too, right? Like I've not ever met a single parent that doesn't want their child to get a great education. And I just think that, to April's point earlier, it's just going to take a larger effort to tackle some of the challenges that our education system is facing. Because Finland and Sweden are what they are, but I would argue that we're a much more complex and larger society here in the United States, and particularly in California. And it's not that there's any kid that can't get there. We just have to think more creatively and more collectively about how to help get them there.
Wow. I can't gainsay that or even throw another question at you and say thank you all for coming to talk to me about this. It's very important. And there it is, the 3rd annual Walk for Literacy.
Yes.
It's going to happen this Saturday at McClatchy Park. Okay?
Yep.
And people can come there. You throw a few bucks down and it goes a long way, right?
It does.
This is a solvable issue.
Yeah.
We just need everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, all 3 of you, and I wish you well on your journey to make that happen, and you're soldiers of my heart.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. You know, we're here every Wednesday, and we meet people like these people who are struggling to make our society strong and better and wonderful. And you can do that by taking part in some of the events that we talk about. So we'll see you on Saturday at McClatchy Park. At what time does it start?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.,
Yeah, come a little early and get yourself a cape and
Absolutely.
have some fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next week also on LiveWire, okay? Just leave it on the channel 17 there and don't move it.